All right, welcome back. Rare Talks, you already know what it is. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't, please go over to the Spotify and check out the Spotify exclusive episodes, yeah? And also check out the YouTube as well. You know the YouTube's popping right now, but the Spotify is where we're pushing all the people to go because you can hear episodes before they come out on the Spotify. And today, we're special guest, a family member, as a matter of fact, my cousin, beloved cousin. We used to live across the road to each other. A lot of the people know, like literally across the road. So, yeah, man, introduce yourself, cuz.
Hi, so my name is Charlene. Yeah, I'm here to tell my story.
So my cousin's got a deep story today, so that we're gonna get into. But we're gonna start from the beginning. How was it growing up in Palace Road? How was it?
With everyone on the estate, that bit was great. But growing up as a child, in my own personal environment, it wasn't good.
All right. Why wasn't it good?
Because as a child, like, I got sexually abused, and not just like sexual abuse, there was violence involved in it too. So that kind of conditions where you go from there. Like, it conditions you in a certain way. So yeah, I don't have fond memories of Palace Road as such, apart from like running around, being a little run with you guys, picking blackberries and stuff. I don't overly have fond memories. I don't feel like I have a family home to go back to.
No
in that
way.
sense.
What age did the abuse actually start at?
Well, the age that I can remember, because obviously the thing with abuse is you sometimes block out a lot of things. So what I remember was from the age of like 12, 13, proper adolescence, years when your body's starting to develop and certain things, you know. But yeah, it could have happened before that, to be honest.
But that's when you properly remember things in detail happening. Yeah. And you was aware that, wait a second.
Yeah.
This isn't actually correct.
That's correct, yeah.
So when you say sexual abuse covers a lot of topics. It could cover like lots of different topics. What kind of sexual abuse did you suffer from?
So I literally was forced to give head, like to give fellatio, on a regular basis, by my brother's dad. He used to try and penetrate me both ways, so sodomize me and the other way, or he'll just try and, rub and do certain things. But in all the possible ways that you're supposed to obviously interact with somebody on that level, I experienced it, and that was my first experience with sex. So it wasn't good, obviously, because I was sexually abused. But
how did that affect you? Like going to secondary school now, knowing that because you're young, 12. If I'm right, 12 is like year 7.
I just started secondary school. Yeah. So I think as the years rolled down, it became more apparent. I think people started to notice little things. But it did really affect me. It affected me in regards to like my schoolwork, what type of GCSEs I even brought home. Because I was the memories that I have of being abused was from the age of 13 to 17, you know. And then just after my 17th birthday, I left. I walked out with one suitcase. So, yeah, that's over a span of 5 years or so, which is a long time when you're living with certain things and having to endure certain things and being treated away. Like, yeah, my story is deep. So
what kind of, how would he do this to you? Because obviously you're in the house of your mother. Condolences, siblings. Rest in peace to Joy, my auntie. Love and peace to you. So how would he do it if she was in the house as well?
I was forced to stay downstairs when everyone else went to their bed. So the older generation will know this cream. It's called Bump Stopper. If there was a Bump Stopper cream here now on the table, yeah, I probably would not want to be here because it would bring back so many memories for me. Because so it was like a daily routine, literally, that I remember. When everyone else got to go to their bed, his excuse would be to my mum that he wants me to stay downstairs and help him put his Bump Stopper cream on because he has spots on his back and stuff. But it'd be a routine of, okay, while everyone's probably still awake, you're putting cream on his back. He's lying on the sofa, and I can remember like it was yesterday because it was those old-fashioned red material sofas that you could pull out the cushions from the actual seating bit. And we would always be mostly based in the sitting room, and he would act like I'm putting the cream on his back. And then obviously once he felt like everyone was settled and sleeping, he'd turn over, act like for a little bit I'm putting it on his bed, but then he'd force me to give fellatio and stuff like that. So that was like a regular occurrence, literally. That was like my first memorable experience of anything to do with the body parts and, sex and that sort of stuff. So it shaped me. It shaped me for.
When did you realize what he was doing was just not correct? Because obviously you're a young person. Sometimes we're young people, you know what you're doing is wrong, but you say.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I was a teenager, but I wasn't one of those kind of teenagers that were like really advanced. I was quite a quiet child.
You was very quiet.
And to be honest, I'm not even trying to hot anyone else up, but he wasn't the only one that tried to abuse me. So, but the one that sits prominent in my mind, because I think when you go through certain things, you block stuff out. It's a way of protection. And I didn't realize it was so real until I thought, no, for real, I've actually blocked a lot of things out. So, yeah, it affected me in many different ways. Like, I was very suicidal as a teenager. And because I wasn't sexually active and I was a virgin, me being a kid not thinking, I was just thinking, I don't want him to take my virginity. I just knew that I didn't want that. And it's like, I literally even purposely went and lost my virginity, not knowing that put me more at risk, because I actually ended up falling pregnant at a really young age. And there was a possibility that was, and it was with twins. So, I'm so sorry, my phone's going off. So, literally, if you just swipe it, so there's so many.
So, wait a second, you fell pregnant at this moment?
I fell pregnant when I was 16, just turned 17, with twins. Yeah, but I had a boyfriend, obviously, but I was being abused at home. That was why I was like, okay, I'm looking for something else out there, literally. But my boyfriend at the time was really nice. He was a little bit older than me, but he was nice. He was protective. But it's like, now as an adult, when I think back, I think, oh, freaking hell. You didn't realize when you're doing certain things that it put me more at risk, in the sense of, obviously, I ended up getting pregnant because I went out there seeking to lose my virginity at a young age because I didn't want my brother's dad to take my virginity. Like, it's like crazy even thinking about it.
That is madness, because it's like I even lost some words here. Yeah. Did you ever tell your mum about what happened?
I told my mom in 2007, and what triggered that was I had a baby in 2004. So when you have a baby, all sorts of emotions come with that, and that triggered me because I was like, I've got a little girl. Not that it can't happen to boys, young boys, but it just brought it all to the surface for me, So I eventually plucked up the courage to tell her, and I think there was a part of me that felt like, I think most victims go through it. They think no one's going to believe them. And obviously the hardest thing to face is your own loved ones not believing you, that you got hurt.
No, abused.
Yeah. It makes me have a lump in my throat. Yeah. Because that was my biggest issue. I think I had spent so much of my my childhood even, just trying to protect my mom, protect my brothers, and thinking if they don't believe me, I don't have no one. I don't have nobody, So, yeah, it wasn't easy. It was really hard. I've had a battle with anxiety, depression, body issues, But, yeah, I feel like you're catching me in my raw space now, obviously, because my mum just passed, but it's good because I know I've grown a lot since everything.
So you told your mum in 2007?
Yeah.
And how did she receive that information when it was said to her?
Not good. I think a lot of her responses were very much fear-based, and I think something that happens a lot within our community as a Black race, we go into denial, we sweep things under the carpet, or for instance, if the person themselves has been abused, then we make excuses for them, like, oh, they went through this when they were a child, and that's why they're like that. And yeah, but no, because we all have choices, and it was a choice. And the way in which it was done, it was very calculated. So for me, I'm like, yeah, that didn't have nothing to do with his childhood. He did that because he wanted to do that.
Yeah, straight.
So yeah, it was an everyday thing, and mainly through like my teenage, like GCSE years. I remember from 13 right up to 17 before I walked out, we're just the same thing.
Did he ever used to threaten you or like say things to you?
Yeah. He had specific lines that he always said. If I attempt, because what triggered me to make me think, oh, this is actually weird, as a kid, like this isn't right. I think I was watching EastEnders, and this might sound so crazy to people, and I think Bianca or one of them was doing something with her mum's partner, and I was like, oh my God, this is wrong. But as a kid, you don't deep things on the same level as an adult. You're not fully developed. Even in that age, like 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds now are very different, a bit more sensible, a bit more advanced than I think we were at that age. I was, you could say boo to me and I would cry. I was quiet and, but yeah, it was a regular thing. Yeah, he would literally...
But what would he say to you though? Was there like the lines? What was the lines?
Yeah, so for instance, if there was a situation where like we were downstairs and he fell asleep, I would always sneak. I had this thing of trying to sneak to go, because I never really got to sleep in my bed as a kid, a teenager. I spent a lot of my time sleeping on the cushions on the floor like a dog. So when I did get the chance to sneak off or whatever, sometimes I'd get away with it because he'd stay asleep, but then sometimes you just be woken up by the light switch just going on in your room, and it's like, get back downstairs. You have to get back downstairs. Or if I did get away with it, then he would stand over me, and he would tell me, I stood over you guys with an axe and a machete last night, referring to me, my brothers and my mum, and you lot didn't even know. Like, I could have killed you. He...
The fuck? Sounds like some horror movie.
Literally, yeah. And even when I did, like, protest even a little bit, when I did get stuck downstairs, it wasn't nice for me because he would literally pull the sofa forward, and behind that sofa he had a bag, a black bag, and in that black bag there was axe, machete, hammer. I think the only thing that wasn't in it was a gun, to be honest. And a lot of my childhood consisted of a machete being swung around my head.
What? You used to swing the machete around your head? Mm-hmm. What, to intimidate you?
Yeah.
And how did you, did you used to have fear of that?
Yeah, literally. I would cower. I was only little, so I would cower in the chair, like, because if you say no, if I said no, it's like, before I could even blink, and you know how quick it is to blink,
yeah,
he'd be going for the sofa, and I knew what would be coming next, and he wouldn't feel no. He would swing it. He would literally swing the machete around my head, and I'd be cowering on the sofa, like, trying to, I don't know, figure out how I was going to survive this situation, how I was going to also protect my brothers and my mom.
Because he would threaten...
He would threaten them too. Look,
what, to you though? So, like,
to me. So nobody knew. So some days they would wake up and he's just in a bad mood, but they don't know why he's in a bad mood. I know why he's in a bad mood, but they don't know, and he would literally take it out on everyone. So, for instance, if we were supposed to clean up that day and he was pissed because he didn't have his way the night before and he lifted this up and there was dust, that was his excuse to lash out. But that weren't really the reason why he was angry. He'd be angry because I would sneak away as much as I could try to sneak away. If you fell asleep, I'm sneaking away because I didn't want to be there in the first place. But he would literally, I remember just having a memory even of just being on the steps in my mum's house and him leaning over saying, with that look on his face, saying, literally, I stood over you guys with an axe and a machete last night and I could have killed you all. And you lot didn't even know.
Oh, that's crazy, because as a grown man, like, what was he actually thinking in his head? Did you ever say to him, like, why are you doing this to me?
No. I think as a kid, you just go along with what everyone else wants you to do, in all honesty. I don't even know if we really asked questions as a kid. We weren't, back in them days, you weren't really allowed to ask questions, or say certain things. And I wouldn't have done, because it wasn't just sexual abuse. There was a lot of violence involved in it.
Well, he used to beat you.
So he'll do things like I said, swing the machete around my head, or you just feel wham. I know a few times, so you have an axe. So the side of the axe. I've been licked up in the side of my head before with that. And back then I used to get headaches as a kid, so I always thought that's probably why I get a lot of like migraines and certain issues with headaches and stuff now.
He hit you with an axe in the side of your head?
Yeah, so the side, so not the chop bit.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But it's quite hard.
What do you mean it's quite hard? That's very hard. You lick someone's brain.
Yeah, so... Yeah, if I spoke in the wrong tone, I remember there was a situation where I think he said something to me and he was going down the steps and I replied and he went right back up the steps and he was like, stand in front of me. So obviously as a kid, you just do as you're told, stood in front of him, got clean headbutted.
He headbutt you?
Clean. Sorry. didn't think I would cry, but
It's all right, don't worry. Cry. Let it out. You're human. You're human.
Yeah.
It's human. This is not right.
yeah, literally. Headbutt. Literally. I've been dragged by my hair. I've been choked. I think he even tried to break a bottle, like a dragon stout, one of those bottles, and stab me with it. But at that time, as a abused child, there's always like little signs that, honestly, in our community, we need to look at the signs because we choose to ignore them. Mm-hmm. And I would always walk around with this like patchwork blanket that my nan had given me at the time. So that's the thing that saved me, because obviously while he's digging, he's not really cutting through that. And
he's trying to.
I think it was more about intimidation than actually him trying to stab me. Because obviously if he stabbed me, then he's going to get involved. And they're going to think, well, why did he stab me? And they start asking questions. So a lot of the things he did was about intimidation and manipulation, and to make you feel like you're going crazy. And if you do certain things, he could just slice you or kill you, and no one's gonna do nothing because he's big, bad, and scary, you know.
So after you told your mum about what happened, how was your relationship with your mum after that?
It broke our relationship down quite a bit, because
a lot of parents, when things like this get told to them, they say you wanted it, you was involved, you knew what you was doing, you were sleeping with my man. It's like they turn it as like you tried to steal my man, when even if that is true, as a big grown man, the fuck are you doing with a 12 or 13-year-old as a big man?
Well, see, my mum didn't come at me like that, but she did say certain things that obviously I lived with it for years, you know, because me being the person that I am, I ask questions and I like people to just be real. So at the time when I came out with it eventually and told her, I think initially she went into like this really bad shock of like, oh my God. And I think she even told a close friend that she really wanted to hurt him. But then I think it's like she blocked it all out, because she had disappeared for a little bit after I told her. So I was like, okay, I've told her this, and she's just kind of like gone into hiding sort of thing.
She might have been into murder mode. She might have
taken, she wanted to stab him. That was her words to her friend, that she wanted to stab him, literally.
Kill him.
And then I think she went into like fear-based energy, you know, because when I did eventually speak to her, I think I was very bold, because I was like, well, you know, now that I've told you this, what do you think? What do you think of me, you know, as a person, as your child, as a woman, you know, because by this time I had my first child. And I don't think my mum really knew what to say, because her response was, I just think you and him started something and it got out of hand. And I was like, well, no, because he came to play the role of a father and he was around for when I was 4. My brother was 2. So...
Sorry? What age did he... Say that again.
So
say that again.
He was around from when I was 4 and my brother was 2. But obviously the memory I have of when my abuse started was from 12, 13, those ages. If it happened before then, I literally don't have no memory of it. Like, none. And they say that happens. And it's actually a real thing, literally. So my mum was... I said to my mum, yeah, but I was 13. Because obviously that was the age where I remember things starting. Mm. And she was like, yeah, but you wasn't a small 13. You was a big 13. And I carried that for about, near enough 15 years. Near enough 15 years, you know.
I think anyone would carry that, because in your mind, the one person that you want to believe you is your mother, someone that's meant to protect you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, not to put blame on anyone, but if you was to look around and say, you kind of brought this man around me and he kind of done these things to me, there's no justifying it on like, oh, you lot had a situationship or something. You was a child.
But do you know the thing about it? Like, because obviously, I haven't thought about this for like, not in this depth for years. And I've been forced to think about it this year because obviously my mum passed away in September. But 2 months before she passed, she actually reached out. So after nearly 15 years, her reaching out was triggering to me, you know, because when she reached out, she basically was saying she let me down. She lived with it every day in her heart. Every day she lives with the pain. She didn't protect me. I was her one and only daughter. And that she did believe me, and she always believed me.
What did that do to you? Because even for me, that's making me emotional. I'm honest with you. That's actually deep for me. I'm actually...
It sent me into a depression.
If
I'm actually honest.
That actually touched me. Because after all those years, and then your mum saying to you, like, I actually believed you now, and then her passing away in less than like 2 months after that. Like, that's mad. I don't know. That just mashed me up. I'm going to keep it real still.
Yeah, it's very raw. It's like, it's kind of bittersweet for me because like there's areas of my life that I'm really happy and God has clarified things for me, and then at the same time it's like I've been broken open. So yeah, in all honesty, it sent me into like a depression and that. So I was off work and I was basically getting a lot of flashbacks about things that happened to me, you know, because I was just even remembering most of my teenage years, I slept on the floor like a dog, you know. It shapes you. It makes you see things a certain way, or even sometimes look at yourself in the wrong way, you know. And I just remembered even that I actually told my mum in 2007, but there was things that he did that screamed guilty. So, for example, there was someone who started what they thought was a rumor, or maybe they noticed, because what is in our community, I feel like abuse gets swept under the carpet.
100%.
And we talk a lot about how it happens to females, black females, but it happens to black men too.
Yes.
And sometimes when, you know, you might be dealing with a guy and he behaves a certain way, you got to look way back. That's if he even lets you get that close to him, because he's been sexually abused and you don't know. There's different... We just sweep it under the carpet so much because literally somebody started a rumour on the estate. I don't know who it was, or maybe it was because they actually noticed things, but it got put down as a rumour that he was sexually abusing me. So I think he probably felt like his gig was up. And I don't know if my mum somewhere inside suspected that, because she used to fall asleep downstairs on the sofa after a while, or you could hear her walking up and down upstairs. So, but he was very smart in the sense of when she'd fall asleep downstairs, he would nudge her and wake her up. I remember this is at the time when this rumour's going around, innit? And my granddad's come down and asked my mum, like, is anything going on? Because he's old school, he's Jamaican. He don't want to have to chop no one or crack kneecaps. So mum was like, no, because as far as I know, she didn't know. But what he would do, because obviously he knew what he was doing, he would nudge my mum and wake her up when she fell asleep downstairs. And obviously I'd be there in it because I've got to stay downstairs to put this fucking bum stopper, excuse my language, cream on his back, so he says. But he would nudge my mum and literally say to her, wake up, why are you falling asleep downstairs? But he'd do it in such an aggressive way. And then I'd be there, he'd turn to me and be like, no, he'd go to her, wake up, like, why are you falling asleep downstairs? Like, what? He'd actually say to her, you think I'm going to sexually abuse your daughter? And obviously, if someone just wakes you up like that, you're kind of looking at them like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you behaving like that, sort of thing? So she'd obviously be dazed and stuff. He'd turn to me as a child and say, go on then. Go on. Tell your mum that I sexually abused you. So that's how
what kind of psychological mad warfare is you telling me, man?
Yeah, he would literally turn to me and say, go on. And obviously, as a kid who's been punched, kicked, headbutted, machete swung around their head, I would cower. I would be like, no. What could I really say to that? Because you've already displayed so much violence. I'm trapped here. I don't have nowhere else to go. I have to stay here, So a lot of my childhood was spent in conditions that weren't very healthy due to my brother's dad. I think my mum tried to give us the best environment, but it wasn't fun for me growing up on Palace Road, put it that way.
So you see, when you left there, did you try to block out everything that happened when you moved out and you had your daughter and stuff like that?
And I was still going back to my mum's house.
Was you?
Yep. I think I slept there when I was pregnant, but I stayed with my mum. I was very attached to her. Like, I stayed where she went, I went. But
didn't your mum feel that energy though? Didn't she think, why is my daughter moving like this? Didn't she? She
always said that she didn't, but I felt like she did. But I'll never get to know the answer to that, to be honest. So that one's a difficult one. I try not to overthink so many different things. Otherwise, I won't make peace with it. Yeah. And I kind of feel like I don't have a choice but to make peace with it to a certain degree now, especially because my mum's not here. I think as abuse victims, we spend a lot of time worrying about everybody else, protecting everybody else's feelings. But it shapes you. I've had issues with my weight. I remember as a kid even trying to commit suicide and stuff. And, like, really being happy, like, I'm going to take these pills. Because I used to take his epilepsy medicine, And even when he came out, obviously that was the excuse he used, that he has epilepsy, so he blacks out. He didn't know what he'd done.
That's just the biggest paedophile line I've ever heard in my life. Like, I didn't know that I was making a little kid do something to me as a grown man.
Yeah, but he knew, because even from when you go through something like that, you're automatically in survival mode. So your brain has to start thinking of ways to survive, innit?
So explain survival mode to the people so they understand.
So my survival mode would be things like, it might sound crazy to people, but painting a pad with nail polish and pretending I was on my period for weeks so that I wouldn't be troubled. And I'm like, we could be together, but leave, get somewhere else. I tried to do so many different things, because your brain is just, I don't know, you're just always thinking of how you're going to get through that day, how you're going to get through today and then get through tomorrow. I'd sleep with a knife down the side of my bed, but never use it, obviously, because I'd be like too scared. yeah, as soon as I got to an age where I could leave, I did.
Did you get a house or did you go through private? How did you get your place? Because you left your house young, from what I remember. You was like 16, 17 or something.
Yeah.
Am I right?
So what triggered it was that I fell pregnant. And I knew there was a good possibility that that pregnancy belonged to my brother's dad. But I didn't know I was pregnant with twins. And I think I had snuck and slept at my boyfriend's house. And this was like 16. Yeah, I was about 16. Excuse me. And what happened was my brother happened to run away on the same day that I chose to sleep at my boyfriend's house, but tell my mum that I was at my friend's house for a sleepover. So my brother's run away, tried to rob the little shop down the road from our house, and the alarm's gone off. Now they've realised he's not at home as well. They've come looking for him where I'm supposed to be at, and I'm not there. So I'm in Shitsville now because literally he's gonna go ape shit. I was basically his property, so I was groomed in a sense of as well, like if I wore vest tops, I had to have a shirt over it. If I wore a skirt, my skirt had to be like past my knee. Like it couldn't be above my knee. He was the one that introduced me to makeup, like eye pencil and stuff like that. So I feel like there's a grooming process that people don't see, you know, and yeah, just so many crazy things, to be honest. I haven't thought about this for years, but obviously my mum passing, her sending a message before she passed, definitely triggered a lot in me.
What have you learnt about yourself going through this? Yourself?
That I'm a lot stronger than I give myself credit for.
And that's a fact. That's a fact.
And that it didn't change me. It didn't change who God wanted me to be. You know, I'm still very soft, gentle person, but I've obviously had to learn to have a bit more of a thicker skin. But I've definitely learned that I have a lot of tenacity. You know, Jamaican saying would be "She look but she talawa." You know, so yeah. But every day I'm building on that strength, and for me, I just wanted to try and deal with my trauma and my conditioning so that the cycle kind of ends with me, and I don't inflict that on my loved ones or my children, or make it an issue for my future husband, because I want my family home to be one that's safe, you know, and happy and full of love and respect. I want it to be different to what I remember. I don't have a family home to go back to, so I have to be strong, and I'm just trying to find my way, literally, in that sense.
That's cool. What advice do you have for mothers out there?
Don't be scared to be on your own. Sometimes that's just the way it goes. Sometimes wait, pray, tap in, dig deep, value yourself as a woman before you let any old willy-nilly type of person come into your home. Because when you don't use discernment and you don't pray about certain things, you can let any entity into your home, and that can dismantle things and break things down. So I say to women, if you're meant to be on your own at this time, even if it's uncomfortable, pray about it before you make rash decisions that could ultimately affect your children as well. Because I know a lot of people don't like being lonely. We're not meant to be out here on our own. But use discernment, because a lot of predators don't look like predators. They look like normal people, like me and you, you know. And I would have said my brother's dad was a normal person for 3 years until he got comfortable, and then he changed. You know, so for me, I pray about everything. So I always go to God for discernment. I don't care if you're painting it all pretty for me. I still need to ask God's permission whether I should really be with you, have you around my kids, give my body to you as a woman. You know, are you coming in to beat your chest, to change us, to control us, or are you coming to actually bring something to the table? Because for me, I think women should just be confident. Know that you run your ship, and your ship ain't sinking anytime soon. A guy might come along, but he doesn't need to rescue you because your ship's not sinking. I always say, my ship's not sinking anytime soon. It might have some scratches, it might have some dents, but it's still sailing. So no guy could just come in and pour the wool over my eyes, because I know my kids' energy anyway. I know if my kid's gone to school and they had a cry at school and someone troubled them, I know. Literally.
You're very intuitive when it comes to your children because of everything that's happened to you.
Yeah.
Like, you're more intuitive than a normal parent.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you just pick up on little things. Like,
most definitely. There was something that even happened to my daughter that I obviously won't go into, and I had a dream about it. I get dreams, so yeah.
Your dreams are powerful in the black community. My mum said,
yeah.
Oh, mum, what my mum said? She said my mum said she had a dream police come in the yard.
Yeah.
She said 6 hours before I got arrested, she said, I had whatever you got in my house, take it out. I said, what are you talking about? I just had a dream police come in my house for you. Yeah. When the police actually came in the house 6 hours later and they arrested me, I nearly fainted. The guy said, are you all right? I said, no, I'm not. I said, my mum 6 hours ago told me she had a dream this happened.
The y'all was coming.
I said, you know what? Take me away. I deserve it. Because I can't believe this. And when my mum heard, she wasn't even shocked because she said, I had the dream, son. Yeah. My mum would always talk that.
And my dreams were very detailed.
Same with my mum.
So when I'm telling it to people, they're looking. I've been called a witch quite a few times.
No, it's not.
A good witch, they say.
No, because my mum, my mum, look at this. Before my daughter Hanifa was born, Mrs. got pregnant. We found out 2 days, and I said, I'm going to my mum's house on Friday, and I'm going to tell her that I've had a baby. I got to my mum's house, got in the house, me and her are talking, she's in the kitchen. I said, yeah, mum, I got something to tell you. She said, wait, which one of you lot having a baby? I had a dream about fish in my fridge. Which one of you lot having a baby? I said, no way, mum, you're talking like this.
Yeah.
I said, what are you talking about, mum?
Yeah.
What do you mean fish in fridge? What are you talking about? She said, yeah, you got a girl pregnant. Go and tell me.
Yeah.
I looked at her in her eyes. I said, mum, I come down to tell you that I'm about to have my baby. She looked at me and said, I already knew you had a dream about fish. So anytime mum talk about dreaming fish, it's over. Someone's having a baby in the family. And it's always been the case. And not to say I'm here believing in every omen in the world, but my mum's dreams are kind of powerful. I'm not going to lie.
When you tap in, honestly, spiritually, you will get shown certain things if you tap in.
Even my mum had a dream that someone died in the lift and she woke up bawling, holding her belly, and she called my older brother because it was something to do with him. And the next day, his friend died in the lift shaft.
You see?
Not him, his friend, because mum warned him.
Yeah.
She said to him, son, had a dream you died. Stay away from wherever. And then his brethren dropped down the lift shaft and dead.
Or sometimes I could be sitting in front of someone and they might be going through something and Spirit will give me a message to give them. And I'm like, do I have to say that right now? And it's like, say it. You need to tell them. And there's been times when I've defied and I'm like, no, man. Like, especially if it's just a random person on the bus. I mean, no, because then when I get off the bus, they're just going to follow me, But I'm learning to listen to that. Good. But it definitely makes you more tapped in and intuitive. Yeah, definitely.
So with your kids, you can pick up on things fast.
Definitely.
So nothing, like if you saw something happening, you would be like, you would kind of pick up fast on it. You wouldn't. It wouldn't be a thing like.
My middle daughter was being bullied at school for 2 years straight, and no lie, for 2 years straight, every day I knew something was wrong with her, and I asked her, and she didn't tell me until she confessed it to her best friend's mum, literally. But I knew because of the way that she was manoeuvring. Because I would say to her, "What's the matter? Is someone troubling you at school? Because you're being very angry when we do certain things." So it is a mother's instinct, but I think some of those things can obviously be overshadowed with fear if you're going through abuse, And
Smoking weed, drinking alcohol, them things can block out your senses.
I haven't gone down that route. Nah. You know, and just like if for instance, a lot of the time when we see people being promiscuous, men and women, not just women, men and women being promiscuous sometimes, it's because they've been abused. Yeah. You know, and I didn't take that route neither. Do you know what I mean? But I've probably done things that I'm not proud of. You know, or just being fast. You know, when you're out there as a kid and stuff, you're not as grown up as you think you are. But there's always a backstory.
Always.
You know, there's more to what meets the eye sometimes.
100%, and I think that's the thing that's not spoken about in the black community. When sexual abuse happens, a lot of people want to protect people rather than protect themselves and other children. So it's like, I'm not going to tell this because I'm going to ruin my family honor. And so a lot of girls and men go through sexual abuse. And sexual abuse for a young man could be that his dad's got him watching porn and wanking and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's sexual abuse. Yeah. As a child, you shouldn't be putting stuff in your brain that should not be there.
Yeah, because it actually has an effect on you.
Of course it does.
It makes, like, you'll see some guys, for instance, they're highly sexualized, and they watch porn a lot, or they have to jack off, do certain things, you know, and it's because of how they've been conditioned from a child, because there's certain things we're not supposed to be exposed to.
No, not too young.
You know?
Not too young.
For me, I wasn't promiscuous, but I think that's because even as a child being abused, I always used to talk to God. When I was trying to kill myself, I would talk to God and be like, yeah, I'm going to take these tablets and I'm not going to wake up the next day. And every time I woke up, I'd be like chatting to him like, yo, what God, like, why am I still here, sort of thing. Like, I would be really angry, literally, and be like, why am I still here? And it was as a kid that I actually got the realization that one day when I woke up and nothing had happened, like, okay, yeah, he's got a bigger purpose. Hence why no matter what I do, it's not working. Because I literally used to do crazy stuff like mix bleach with orange juice and try and drink it, surgical spirit, them things. Tried the cutting thing, that wasn't me. Tablets galore, just down them. Just down the tablets too. I'm just like spaced out. I was lucky that I never suffered anything worse because of it. How I always thought it was going to affect me was I always thought I wasn't going to be able to have kids.
Because of everything that you was doing to yourself.
That I even rushed and had a baby because I thought I wasn't going to have kids. So it affects you in different ways, and people only see the surface of it. So they'll judge you based off the surface of it, but there's more to it. It affects you in so many different ways, you know.
How did you deal with your mother's death? Because your mother just passed away in September. How did you deal with that? Because after everything you went through, like, how did you deal with that?
Well, because I was already on my healing journey, I didn't hold anger towards my mum. Because there's a part of me that knows a lot of what she did and said was fear-based energy, you know. Because even though she wasn't an abused woman as such, she still lived in fear, you know. Things happened to her, you know. But it was hard. I'm still dealing with it, if I'm honest. I felt like I'd been robbed, literally, after not speaking properly. Like, obviously, I see her when I go to my nan's and stuff, but for me and her to sit down, actually talk, and how are you? We didn't do that, you know. It was just hi and continue what we're doing. So it was very, very, very hard. Not even was, it still is. I got my mum's scarf here as comfort. Yeah, because, like I said, she sent me a message 2 months before she passed away. And that was hard for me because it threw me into a depression, and then all of a sudden, she suddenly passed. It wasn't something that we was expecting.
Yeah, it was a sudden, like...
Yeah, I'm still dealing with it, but I've tried to deal with it as gracefully as I can, because there's factors to it. There was factors like, obviously, I had to let my brother's dad come to the funeral.
How was that when you saw him? Because have you seen him for years or?
I haven't seen him for years. No. I kind of just blocked him out. Because I was like, the thing is, I'm not a kid no more. So if you say the wrong thing to me, I could just flip out on your ass. Because if you want to do it, we can do it. I chose not to react like that, though. I tried to be as calm as possible, just purely out of respect for my family and my brother, you know, because I know it must be a difficult situation for him, you know, having to face it, obviously. But yeah, it's an eye opener, because obviously I didn't talk to my mum for so long, and then she just passed away after sending a message. It's bittersweet for me, in a sense of, I know my mum loved me. I got the message, so that was a bit of healing for me. And also even just little things that she left my name in charge of, I was like, okay, Mumsy knew I would always do right by her. And I always said that. But because I was on my healing journey already, I guess it helped me a bit. So I just knew I had to give her a blessed day. It weren't about me.
And you
happened.
You arranged everything as well?
I arranged everything, yeah. Done the eulogy, ordered service, everything down to her outfit, flowers. Yeah, and it was one of the hardest things that I had to do, especially within the time frame of everything and how it happened. You know, so yeah, I'm still coping with it, literally.
To this day?
To this day, yeah.
What helps you navigate through the pain?
Meditation and praying literally helps me, you know. And I'm a person, I've never really been a woe is me type of person anyway. You know, I've been blessed to have, like I said, a tenacity that's just, I think, shocking sometimes. You know, I shock myself, you know. Yeah. But I literally just go to source. You know, as time goes on, I'm just always trying to build myself, because it's about reprogramming how you've been conditioned, you know. A lot of people just give up and give into it. Oh, I got abused, so that's why I act like this and that's why I act like that. Nah, I think if I did that, then he'd win. And that don't sit too well with me.
That's the one thing you don't want.
No. No, because I feel like you can be that person who overcomes stuff, or at least learns to
live
cope.
with it.
Yeah. Would I say it affects me in my everyday life, my relationship? Nope. Because I've learned how to... You can heal yourself. There's different ways. We all have different ways of healing ourselves. Yeah. My way is, I believe in God. I pray and I meditate to heal my chakras, because anybody that knows about meditation knows, as an abuse victim or survivor, even, because I don't like using the word victim, you hold a lot of your trauma in your stomach, your sacral chakra. So I have tried to do a lot of healing in that sense. You know, if I feel like I've got anxiety, I just fling on my 10-minute meditation, and that usually helps to balance out my energy. I will burn my sage, my Palo Santos. I love burning my candles, you know, and I've cultivated a circle. I think it's really important to have a good circle of support.
Support, yeah. I was just about to say,
you know, people who you can talk to, people who accept you for who you are. So when you have little moods, because it affects you in different ways. You can have mood swings. You could be suicidal, get depression. You know, you might not eat. Like I had a lot of issues with my weight. People used to always say, "Oh, you're so skinny," not knowing there's a backstory behind why my weight would fluctuate up and down. you know. So yeah, it's just about reconditioning yourself, training your mind not to listen to those negative thoughts, you know. And I done that by, like I said, cultivating my circle. I don't listen to certain type of music. I tend to be quite careful what I watch as well.
It's very good because whatever you put in through your eyes goes into your mind that affects your heart, that eventually affects your actions. Yeah. That's why the youths listening to, they're watching the music videos, going inside their brain, poisoning their hearts, and putting that knife in someone else's child. That's the whole thing of it, It's actually a system. Whatever your eyes see too much of, programs it.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
So in that sense, I've tried to train myself. Plus, I feel like sometimes you got to just have it in you that, this is where the cycle ends. Because I don't want the fact that I didn't have, in some senses, a great childhood to then affect how I raise my children, And for me, I still can look back and see where my mum gave us a lot of love and care. I don't hold my mum responsible because my mum was that mum, that played rounders with us, take her apples off the apple tree in our garden, make us apple crumble. My mum would pick coupons out of the Sun newspaper to take us on holiday to Butlins and stuff. So, I just remember those things. That's what I try to focus on.
That's the best memories that you can hold on to. Especially when someone passes.
Because I don't want no one to even tarnish my mum, even, for instance, because a lot of people are victims to this.
You can't. Your mum never. I can't see your mum ever being the reason why. Because remember, everyone is active of their actions. Meaning that man done what he done because of he's a predator. Yeah. Nothing to do with your mum on that sense.
Yeah, because my mum was a great mum.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Literally. We all know Joy is a beautiful, great person, just a lovely person. Her name says it all, Joy. Joy used to bring joy. Everyone see Joy. She's unproblematic. You're not in mix up with Joy. Joy's not mixing up your business. Joy's just doing her thing, going to school, working infant stand and going.
Yeah, and that's the thing. As a woman, sometimes, or even a man who's got kids and you're a single parent, you get to that point where you feel lonely, you feel vulnerable, you want someone to have your back. Like I said before, just be careful who you invite though in, because some people will see that energy and take advantage of it. And I think that's exactly what happened with my mom. Like, she wasn't expecting this to happen.
Never. I don't think anyone.
And a lot of people get judged on it, but
I think the worst thing that can happen is that some parents, the guilt destroys their heart, which eventually destroys their body, and they die from guilt. So people can actually die from guilt. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't know this, that guilt can actually kill someone inside.
Heartbreak and And my mum, like I said, she sent a message 2 months before she passed away.
And that was probably the hardest message she ever had to send to someone, ever. Don't ever get it twisted. To send that message took courage, because a lot of times our parents don't like to say that they've done wrong. It's it's very hard. As a parent, even say to your children, I like to take responsibility.
Me too. I say sorry to my kids.
Yeah, my child told me,
they're going to look after me when I'm old.
I've taught my daughter not to litter. Yeah. And then one day my daughter saw me litter on the train and she was not letting it go. Yeah. Dad, you left something. Dad, you left something. Dad, you told me. And you know what? I had to say, you know what? You're right. I'm wrong. Let me pick this up. Yeah. I'm not going to do this again. Yeah. Because if I've taught you something and I've done it now, like what kind of, and then you're telling me, you're bringing me up. I put my children in a way that if you see me do wrong, tell me I've done wrong.
That's right.
It's not a disrespect. It's just that I'm teaching my children how to have courage. Yeah. That if they see something wrong happening, they don't sit there and be complicit with it. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, he's doing something to my sister and turn away. No, we all have to stand up. Does it make sense?
Definitely. And I always teach my kids that, because it is easy for us to sweep things under the carpet. It takes courage to do something even when we're frightened. Like coming here today, I was like, oh God, because I know that for a while the Lord's been telling me, I want you to use social media and a platform as a way of helping people to not get over, because you can never get over the fact that you've been abused, yeah. But learn that you can have a happy life. You can live a life where you're not living in survival mode or fear-based energy, you know, because, yeah, all that stuff, it conditions you in a way where, you know, I had abandonment issues, you know. I have an argument with my partner and he's going out the door. I'm like, you're running away, you know. You're leaving me, you're abandoning me. So, yeah, it affects you in different ways. And I hope that somebody sees this and it makes them know that you didn't do anything wrong. The one thing I definitely learned was that we're not the guilty ones. Sometimes we're shunned out by society and made to feel like we're the outcasts, but we're not the guilty ones. We didn't ask for that to happen to us when we were kids. I didn't ask for someone who I trusted and looked at as a father to break that trust, you know, and that shaped me a lot, you know, in how I looked at my body, even in terms of like how other people treated me, like when I eventually even got into a relationship as an adult, how I was treated, you know, it wasn't healthy, and it was because I went through certain things, you know, and then it shapes your life in the sense of what type of foundation you build for yourself. I moved around like 9 times before I even got my home, what I have now. 9 times, like a gypsy. Slept on a camp bed. Literally, I remember there was a time when I stayed with a friend and I literally slept on a camp bed in her house, and all I owned to my name was my clothes and a little CD player. Literally.
You done anything to get away from that situation that you was in?
Yeah. But I never wanted to leave my mum and my brothers behind. So that made it difficult. Because there was a part of me that was like willing to accept him at one stage.
Why?
Because I wanted my brothers and my mum to love me so much. But then as I started praying more and finding my strength, I was like, oh, hell no. And that's why I say it's really important to find yourself. You know, if you know you're a lovely, gentle person, don't change that just because you experience through bad eggs. Just cultivate your circle so that, you know, if there's someone around you that triggers you in a certain way, just don't entertain them. Don't have their energy around you. Don't give them your energy. That's how I've coped. Like, I'm not having anyone around me and my kids that thinks they can talk to us anyhow, treat us anyhow, because I'm really trying to break the cycle of just because you've been through certain things doesn't give you a rite of passage to behave a certain way. I don't use that as an excuse.
You know, I like that. That right there was gold, what you just said. Just because you've been through stuff doesn't mean that you have to act a certain way.
It doesn't give you the rite of passage to behave in a certain manner.
Reflection. That shows a person of insight.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of people do is they, not you in per se, but they will say, I'm like this because I went through this. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
It's like they won't take accountability for doing fucked up shit. They'll just be like, because I'm like this is what.
But you have to if you want to change it.
Of course.
Otherwise, you're just continuing to pass that trauma on. And for me, I always felt like, After a couple times of being flat out on the floor in the bathroom crying, and I had a child, I was like, I can't actually do that. You know, and at the time I was engaged as well to my children's father. It was like, this is not who I want to be for my family. This isn't who I want them to see me be. I want them to feel like, she went through what she went through, but she's strong. I know my kids will say that now. Most of the people around me will be like, she went through what she went through, but she's just strong back.
Strong. That's the most.
And I'm not mean. I just think, don't use that as an excuse to be mean. I try not to be mean, if anything. because it's feeding that energy that festers in you. I'll tell you if I'm angry and why I'm angry. You know, I've learned, because I think for me, because I felt like I got muted most of my teenage years. Right?
Now you're speaking up. You're talking the things. You're saying, no.
Like I speak my mind, but I've learned it's not what you say, it's your deliverance. You know, so if you want someone to really hear you, you have to come at people a certain way. You know, because just like I've got my issues, that person might have issues with in a certain area. That you come at them a certain way, their back's instantly up. It's all about learning the art of individual behavior and how to connect with people on a one-to-one level. Because we're all rushing around in the rat race. We don't really take time to connect, you know. And be honest. You usually ask someone how they're doing. Even if they're not good, they'll still say they're good. I'm not. I tell you, today I don't feel good. I feel sad. And I've made sure that the people around me have given me I've got a safe space. You've got to create a safe space for yourself where you can express how you feel. You know, I just stopped being scared to show who I was. I stopped being scared to say, I woke up today and you know what? My energy just feels a bit off, because sometimes as well, you don't even know you're an empath. You pick up energy from people. That affects you. You just wake up and you're in a funky mood, you know, but you don't know why you're in a funky mood. And that's okay. It's still okay for you to be like, you know what, I woke up today and I'm funky mood today and I don't even know why. At least then the person will know just a little bit how to maneuver with you, you know, or to just be like a little bit more chilled because you've expressed it. Why are you scared to express? Everyone's scared to express how they feel or show their real self, you know, but I don't want to be in a box. I don't want to be in survival mode, and I don't want to be in fear-based energy. So I'm just digging deep, honestly.
Do you think that the situation has made you fearless to a certain extent? Because now you speaking your truth is showing how fearless you actually are. Because you see, people don't actually understand through the truth comes strength.
Yeah, but I knew this was coming, you know.
Oh, did you?
I knew that God had something in the works in regard to my truth coming out.
You know, it's crazy because we was meant to link a long time ago and you don't even know this. So Clarissa was trying a thing to get us to all link. And it's mad how like a tragedy has led us to here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I feel like it's all been orchestrated a certain way.
Of course. But
because I didn't even tell you, like, the last time I saw my mum was at my cousin's funeral.
Gizzy's?
Yeah. But I was calm with my mum. I hugged her, everything, went to give her a hug. She was like, oh, you giving me a hug? I was like, yeah, I hugged her. I was like, you okay? Da-da. Carried on. Then obviously when my mum was getting rushed to hospital, I got the call from my aunt. And I was like, say nothing. I was like, come and get me. Literally. Like, I'm there. You know? And I happened to actually be speaking on the phone to one of my friends, telling her about my mom at that time, that, my mom reached out to me, and, you know, it kind of threw me into a depression. But now I'm just processing it different. So I feel like everything is orchestrated a certain way.
100%.
I was there with her when she passed away. I was the one holding her hand.
But did you see her last moments?
Yep. She couldn't speak because she was sedated. She was in an induced coma. But
these people, that's why
I was there, able to hold her hand. And
you was there with Gizmo as well, innit?
No, none of us was with Giz when he passed. He was by himself in the care home.
No, I mean, in the hospital. I'm talking about the first time.
Yeah, of course.
I saw you at the hospital.
I got to speak to him and everything before he even stopped being able to speak. Yeah, it was... That
traumatized me, you know, because I've spoke to my cousin. I come, yo, cuz, what's going on? Yeah, I'm feeling better, man. Head's a little big. I'm like, oh, cuz, man. He's like, yeah, man, everything went well. Went home that night.
Yeah.
Got a phone call next day saying, what? He's not. But I said, right, I just spoke to him. What are you lot talking about? Yeah, I was there.
Do you know what it is? Life, it's funny because even when people do things like, you know, like we fight with our family and stuff, I think the biggest lesson I learned from my mum passing was that, You should talk, man. We should talk. We should always talk as people. We should always connect as human beings. You know, we always think tomorrow is promised. Tomorrow's not promised. Time is an illusion. You know, and I think that's why it felt kind of bittersweet, because it was weird, because God was nudging me before she passed. Like, I'd go in my WhatsApp, unblock her, and he'd be like, just message, hi, Mom. I'd be like, nah. And that's because I was like, I didn't want to see her cry over the whole situation, you know? And I felt like I weren't in maybe the right place as well in my own life for her to see me. I wanted her to be proud in it, but I know she's proud, but, you know, just ego. We live in our ego 100%. And fear-based energy and negative traits that we need to try and root out, man.
Facts.
Because a lot of people walking around who are dying inside and we don't even know, you know, because they don't want to be judged
by what other people say.
Because they suffer from depression. A lot of people probably wouldn't even know that I've gone through depression or had anxiety, panic attacks, or was very suicidal when I was a kid and used to actually attempt to kill myself on more than one occasion. And be hella mad at God too, like when it never worked out, literally, until I learned, you know.
He's got a bigger plan for you.
Yeah. And I always tell people that, because none of us are better than anyone. We're all on the same level.
That's a fact.
You know.
That's a fact.
And I don't think we have to be conditioned by our childhood. I think it's a choice. A lot of people don't want to do the work because obviously you have to dig out all the bad stuff
and then
in order to get to the good stuff. And digging out all the bad stuff is very painful.
Yeah, it brings back a lot of things that you've tried to subdue for years.
Yeah.
And now it's coming to light again. It's like, it's bringing back old wounds. That, you know, when you get a cut, and the cut is like a deep one, and it's like it's reopening.
Yeah.
But the only way it can actually heal is if you reopen it and then put the plaster on it.
That's right.
So you let it heal before just naturally.
Yeah.
But that didn't really heal. It's still open.
Exactly.
And that's why when little things would happen to you, you probably went through things in life where something would remind you of certain things and you would break down and people would be like, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
And you they'll be confused, but obviously you know why, but obviously other people wouldn't know.
See, I got a bit better with that. I've been okay in the sense of like, because obviously I've had I'm 40 next year. So, you know, I've had time to process it. And I had my first daughter when I was 22. So she gave me a strength that I didn't have before. You know, she was my baby that just solidified that, ain't no more, you can't have no woe is me, you can't die, you can't do any of that, because now you've got another person who you need to protect. You know?
Yeah.
So
did that make you feel like you needed to, when you had a daughter, did it make you feel like I have to protect this girl by every soul in my body because of everything that I've been through?
Yep. Literally. Even their dad can't talk to them anyhow or beat them. No. Because I don't think you need to beat your kids.
No, you don't. I don't think you generally need to. There's a time when...
more time when you reason with them, and don't be a hypocrite as an adult. We're like, you're doing this, you're doing that, and forgetting that we did loads of things when we were kids. Yeah. But we judge our kids
we expect
on that. And it's like, be realistic. Don't be a hypocrite. Yeah. So I've always been very, like, reasonable with my kids. And then if it's something that I think's too deep, and I'll be like, I'm not going to tell you now, but when you're older, I will explain it to you, you know? And I taught them don't lie, and I don't lie to them. I might not tell you what it's about right now, but I'll tell you when you're older. I'm not telling you because I don't think your brain will be able to... process it in the correct way. Yeah. Plus, I don't want to traumatize you, you know? So, it's a funny journey. I'm still on it.
Still on it. Do you have any message? We're just going to end now, but do you have a message for anyone that's gone through something similar to you? Do you have like some advice or a message for them people?
Know that you are someone. Know that you are loved. Like I said, cultivate your circle. Have people around you that build you up, not pull you down. I'm not saying meditation works for everyone, but hey, try it. And prayer, you know, just put a lot of positive stuff into your life. You know, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. Nowhere even remotely close. But I definitely know that I'm growing. And it's sometimes growth that other people can't see. Only you know the growth, you know. So I just tell people, keep working on that. Home in on the goodness, not the bad stuff.
That's the most important thing, because you can destroy your own mind by what you
and your future.
Yeah, by feeding yourself with.
Yeah.
Say for instance, like I can tell that you not healed, but you're doing better than you was before.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. You're not. No one ever heals from scars that were never meant to be opened. Mm-hmm. Does it make sense? But
yeah, definitely.
What we do is we learn to navigate through it, and I really respect and I'm very happy that you've come down and said your story. It's actually touched my heart, as you could probably see. Like,
I don't even know if I was like waffling or if I missed bits. Because, you know, when you've gone through it for so many years, it's like
it's all over the place and thingy, but I've chronologically done my own thing in my head, and it makes perfect sense, everything that's happened to you and how you've been able to deal with it and stuff like that. So I just wanted to say respect for coming down and for sharing this story, because I believe that this is going to really help a lot of people out there personally, because a lot of people, like I said, they've probably gone through similar to you, and they didn't know or don't know what to do. So this might be a wake-up call for a lot of people, and mothers as well. Yeah. Like to just...
And dads too, because we can't forget the men. Because I've noticed, I'm an abuse victim, but I've noticed that we always focus on the females. And in actual fact, we just need to focus on it as a whole, because there's a lot of men walking around who have been abused sexually, and some of them don't even realize it. They just think it's normal to give their body to any and everyone. No, a loose-moraled man is just as bad as a loose-moraled woman, and your body is your temple. And when you're doing certain things, or they drink a lot, take a lot of drugs, and that, or they're just angry.
A man's never gonna come up with the fact that he's been sexually abused. It's one of the hardest, especially in the black community. Yeah, a black boy he's gonna act like it never even happened. Like, what? No, that never happened to me.
Do you know, more time a lot of people full stop don't come out of it because there's a lot of victim blaming. Literally, you get shunned out.
Of course, I know.
Like you start to There was a stage where I felt like I was like the black sheep. Like literally, I was an outcast. Like, at my mum's funeral, I saw everyone I grew up with. That was the first time I seen them in like 15, 20 years, you know? So it was strange, because you just don't know if people know, if they don't know.
But you've got far, and I believe that this is another stepping stone to your healing process. Yes. So again, like I said, respect, man, and thank you for coming down, and thank you for like opening up and speaking your truth, man. Because sometimes I think in life, a lot of people don't want to speak their truth. Yeah. They're scared of what everyone else is going to say, and that's why for years they suppress themselves. Yeah. But by suppressing yourself, all you're doing is suppressing your own pain. That is actually real to you. Yeah. How can we change a generational curse if we don't even look at it as a curse? Yeah,
and we hush it under the carpet.
Then it's never gonna change.
Talking about it helped to heal me to a certain degree.
Of course.
Because I think where I was muted, I've then started to rebel against that. I was like, it's my story. Yeah. It happened to me, you know? And I feel like I'm more solidified with that, because I'm like, people shouldn't have to hide their pain and trauma that they went through when it wasn't their fault.
It wasn't their fault.
You know?
No child.
So even I'm trying to set up my own blog and podcast so that I can help people.
Don't worry, we're gonna have something called the Trauma Series. Don't worry, soon come Trauma Series with my cousin. Cool. Here, Red Hub. You heard it first. We're not meant to say on camera, but trauma. Yeah. Trauma Stories is gonna be here in Red Hub. Cool. With my cousin. So not meant to tell you yet, but I said it. I weren't meant to give it to people yet, but I've given it to you. Yeah. But www.rarehub.co.uk if you ever want to book sessions where we are right now. But shout out to you. Take care.